I've never been this sure before that a game is gonna win Game of the Year as Baldur's Gate 3. And the reason I say that, I find interesting, guys, because it's not because it's the greatest game ever. Don't get me wrong, I love the game, it's a great game, right, and it actually does deserve to win. But the problem I'm talking about, because this game is actually liked by both the critics, right, and the actual people. And that's why I think it's really interesting, because, how can I say, right, most of awards, right, you know, the Annie Award, the Oscars, whatever, they're all terrible. I bring it up because, like I said, goddamn, every award system is terrible, right? The Annie Awards, the Oscars, Boss Baby winning, whatever, you know what I mean? But the Anime Awards are probably the most obvious I'm talking about it. So last year, actually, to some extent surprised me. Even though I would say that Elden Ring is a better game than Baldur's Gate 3, in my opinion, but they're both good games. Elden Ring was so hated, right, by, you know, the actual reviewers, the critics, right? You know what I mean? So Baldur's Gate 3 is so different because it's beloved by them, which coming to point why, right? And that's why I really do want to hear you guys' opinion, because, again, Baldur's Gate 3 deserves to win. It's not the best game this year, but I would be incredibly shocked, again, if it doesn't win, because it also fits every box, you know, it fits all checkboxes, right? Because we're talking about is Sarah Salma here. So Sarah Salma is, I think, the best example of what I've ever seen of a inclusive awarding, right? So the anime awards are terrible, they're incredibly bad. They always change stuff, the ruling. Last year, like the judge had too much power, whatever. There's so many issues with it. But the core issue with the anime award is if any other award system, right, is that it's full of just, lack of better words, woke, right? But I think it's more than that. But yeah, lack of better word. So Sarah Salma is an example of it, because this is a yaoi couple, you know, so they're gay, right? But they're incredibly terrible yaoi couple. So I have no problem, right, with yaoi. Obviously, yaoi is the best thing ever. My issue is that this couple is just terrible. The guy's lying to him or whatever. It's like an incredible, terrible just relationship, right? Yet, for some reason, it's nominated, right? So you get my point, right? It's very much is the inclusive award all the time in anime awards, which is like, okay, so you have like an actual good couple, and then you have like 5, you know, oh, this is like a lesbian couple, so you get there, right? Another good example is, of course, Ymir and Historia from Attack on Titan, right? So in Attack on Titan, there is this, I would say, barely a lesbian ship between Ymir and Historia, because the other one isn't a lesbian, so it's like a one-sided relationship, right? But the funny thing is that I was laughing at the anime award had this as the best romantic relationship, pure, obviously because they're two ladies, right? Purely with the reason. But it was like 3 years after it happened. Like, it made no sense. That's how incredibly, I mean, I have zero respect for any award, because this is how they usually do it, right? But I just want to bring it up, that the anime awards are the best example of incredible quotations, right? Which is like, wait, but so literally what happened was the Titan, of course, is airing, right? You know, that year it was announced. It was airing that year, but this actual romantic, so to speak, romantic episode between these characters, that didn't happen that season. It happened like the season 2, and it was like season 5. You know, final, bigger point. Titan's like final part 7. Bigger point. This didn't happen in that season. It happened 3 years prior to that season. And also, again, one of them isn't in love with the other one, so there's no good sleep either. But, and it's a filler episode. So it's just like, what? So what I'm talking about, of course, is that Baldur's Gate 3 fits every, you know, literally like almost every check in the box, right? If you create a character, you can be, you know, you can change gender and so on, right? Like, I'm playing a paladin, right? Of course. Who wouldn't, right? And obviously, then the bear scene, right? And I mean, I keep saying it, but I'm gonna be incredibly shocked. Like, genuinely, incredibly shocked if Baldur's Gate 3 doesn't win the Game of the Year, right? Because again, it has actual good gameplay, there's actual interesting storyline, right? Good precision, freedom, and so on. But it also fits every damn box, right? It's very interesting, right? How the exact same critics, what's it called, right? Will complain about maybe like a One Piece game or whatever, right? Oh no, you can see the oppies or whatever. They will complain about an anime game or, you know, Japanese game, right? Most of them. But then they will think this is the best game ever. Not because of good gameplay, but obviously because of this thing. And it is so, I mean, it has a funny thing with Baldur's Gate 3 that it also brings up the hypocrites. I don't want to I don't think the game is bad or anything, but I'm just saying that I think the situation is something I haven't actually seen in years, I feel. I haven't actually seen a situation where we have, again, right, a game that actually is good and is also arguably woke, right? So another title I was thinking about the video was like, is it okay to like woke games or something? Might be a follow-up video. But seriously, I'm just like, yeah, this is the first time I feel in years where, like, okay, the game that all the, again, so to speak, the critics, right, the mass media, whatever, that they actually want to win is also probably the best game. And I don't think we've seen that in many years. But I also want to make the video, just kind of laugh about it and, talk about it. But also, isn't that a good way, right, to be positive about it? I think it's good too, because if there's one thing, and I would say really though, that bothers me, right, with the general, like, wokeness or whatever, right, and so on, and prejudice and blah blah, for all the years, for 20 plus years. The biggest problem I have with it, and this is probably actually, I think, most issue with it, in general speaking, is they're lazy, right, They're lazy. Very often do you find these, again, like a better word, woke, right, woke games and so on, they usually are terrible, right, They're usually really terrible, and it feels like the game developer is like, well, we have a lesbian main character, right? And it feels like they're kind of compensating, trying to get good reviews or whatever, right? From that aspect. And the same thing for whatever TV shows and so on too, right? Even more so TV shows as opposed than gaming. And, that's I think is honestly the big issue with the whole thing. In a general standpoint, in a more casual way, right? Because it's like, but what if you just made good characters, right? Because seriously, like I made a video about Castlevania, right? You probably don't talk about CNCO. Castlevania Nocturne, and to me, it doesn't have like the worst character ever or whatever, but it's a very good example of like why is the the diversity cast character also the worst character, like by far, right? And I'm not saying that because she happens to be I'm saying she is the worst character, and she's the most hated character by most of the fans, right? That most people really like this character, and that's like a common thing. It's just like, it feels like when they don't know how to write a character, they're like, well, it's like the latest episode of South Park, like, well, okay, I don't know what to write here, just make it gay. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, whatever, right? So Baldur's Gate 3 really sticks out, honestly, right? Because, it has all this stuff, right? That, again, it isn't necessarily bad, but, it is what it is, right? But the game is still a really good game. That's what gameplay is on. But I also want to bring it up, though, because I want you to think about it, right? That, like, my brother asked me, is this game woke or whatnot, right, And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's definitely woke, so to speak, but the game is good, right? And he's like, nah, it can't be. It can't be true. Woke and good? It can't be true, man. No game is good and woke. But that's kind of how it feels, right? Because he immediately, as a knee-jerk reaction, he said, oh, man, if it's woke, the game can't be good, right? But I think that Baldur's Gate 3, if anything, probably proves that, no, it can be good and also be woke, right? You can have, like, a yaoi scene, a yuri scene, gay character, romance, whatever. You can have all this stuff, right? And you can still have a good game. I think the problem, actually, that most game has, and even more so, again, in TV shows, is that they compensate, right? They compensate, yeah. They have a terrible writer. They can't write for love of them, right? And then when you can't create like a good character you actually like, they're like, well, I don't know, you just make her gay or something. Like, they feel that's like their escape, right, of having to write good stuff, right? That being said, though, I want to put out one thing, though, which I think is to be fair, though, right? To be fair. I actually do think, though, there's a little bit issue in Baldur's Gate 3, if I have to be fair here. The game isn't perfect, I think. And this is definitely a nitpicky thing here, okay? But for example, Mintara, obviously best wife, but anyway. But you can marry Mintara, right? Like, no matter who you play, right? You can play any race, you can play man or woman, you can play trans or whatever, and you can be Mintara, right? For example, I play a trans character, and I can date Mintara, right? And I'm not against that per se, of course. I have no problem with a raw elf dating, like, I don't know, a high elf trans character, whatever. That's fine, right? But there's definitely, I feel a little bit nitpicky here, honestly. That Baldur's Gate 3, I would still say would be better, a little bit more authentic, probably, if they actually had preferences, right? So, for example, Asterion, he kind of gets around, right? Yeah, I do feel that's true, though. It does feel a little strange, honestly, in the game, that everyone can do everyone, you know what I mean? Like, no one has any limits whatsoever, no one has any breaks. That isn't probably realistic. Mintara, she's kind of driven by, like, she likes you because of, joining her and her ideas and so on. So I feel in her case, for example, let's bring her up, I feel that makes sense, right, from a character standpoint, because she's more, like, motivated by her, like, oh yeah, we share the same ideology, I like you, yeah, let's do it, right? She's kind of like that. Lazarel, same way, she's like, oh, you're powerful, let's do it. So I feel that kind of go either way. But some other character I feel a little more like, I don't know, will they actually go there easier, right? That's why I call it lazy, but I do feel it's a little lazy. these should be like, okay, everyone can be everyone, you know. Check, yeah, like, because it's zero work, right, you know. It's just every scene can be triggered by everyone. That is the least amount of actual work. But I do think it actually would be a slightly better game, not only because I want to nitpick, but I don't think it would be a slightly better game if the game actually had like, oh, but if you want to be with Mintara, you have to play a drow elf or something. She's only in love with a male drow elf, you know. I think I prefer it a little bit more like that, right? So again, Baldur's Gate 3, probably the best game this year. I haven't played the game yet, probably, but it isn't perfect, right? But that's one thing the game does. But what's do you guys think? Subscribe, slap button, have a great day.